Okay, we have chapter 16 and 17 were on Japan and Korea, and the highlight that really brought purple off of the east of the Asian continent is in the Pacific is the location of Japan. Okay, we're going to start with the Zen Buddhism. Zen is a school of Buddhism that is deeply rooted in all of East Asia and was imported from China in the late 12th century. It had a particularly great impact on the art of Japan, where the Zen philosophy was warmly embraced. Zen adherents reject worldliness, the collection of goods for their own sake, and physical adornment. Instead, the Zen world is centered on austerity, self-control, courage, and loyalty. Meditation is key to enlightenment. For example, samurai warriors reach deeply into themselves to perform acts of bravery and great physical endurance. Zen teaches through intuition and introspection rather than through books and scripture. Warriors as well as artists were quick to adopt a Zen philosophy. Japan with the Jomon period. This is an example of a flame-style vessel from Nagata Prefecture, Japan in the Middle Jomon period, circa 2500 BCE. It is an urban-style vessel. It's a typical Jomon pot. Clay coils were pressed into the surface for the pattern. We have bold modeling. They feel compelled to decorate every single bit of the surface. It has a very thick wall, and it has flame-like projections at the rim. This is not glazed. It is sculptural and dramatic. These were used for cooking and storage, also for holding bones for burial, and some for ceremonial functions on sacred mountain burial grounds. This Japan Yayoi period. We have the Dotaku with incised figural motifs. These are like little animal bells. They're from Kagawa Prefecture, Japan in 100 to 300 CE. You can see the little incisions of animals and the textural borders. Here's the detail. It's produced during the late Yayoi period. The distinctive clapperless Japanese bronze bells are known as Dotaku, are thought to derive from earlier, smaller Korean examples that adorned horses and other domesticated animals. Dotaku were buried singly and in pairs and in large groups, occasionally with bronze mirrors and weapons in isolated locations, often on hilltops, perhaps to ensure a community's agricultural fertility. Later Dotaku had relatively thin walls and would not have resonated, so it's assumed that their purpose was primarily ritual. This is a Kofun period. This is an aerial view of the tomb of Emperor Nintoku, Osaka Prefecture, Japan, Kofun period, late 4th to early 5th century. This is Ko means old and Fum means tomb. They're Japanese enormous earthen burial mounds or tumuli. About 20,000 clay haniwa originally stood on the gigantic earthen mound. It has a key-shaped hole. There are 3 nested moats of 458 acres in total. The soil that was used to create the middle island, 1,574 feet long. For the island, it's 114 feet high above the water. It has all kinds of marsh plants. It has a natural growth forest in the last century. These are the Haniwa. They're from the Gunma Prefecture, Japan, Kofun period, created 5th to 6th century. They are low-fired clay. They came from the Japanese tumuli. They are unglazed terracotta. Hani means clay. Wa means circular because it has circular cylinder base. The tops are animals, sometimes objects, sometimes human figures. This one is a Haniwa warrior from the Gunma Prefecture. The Haniwa were arranged in rows that curve around the tumuli, which is a burial ground. They might be placed around a Haniwa house. The purpose of them is they were placed around and on the tomb to serve the dead as guardians of the tomb, like the Chinese terracotta army. They range in 2 feet to 4 feet tall. They're embellished with patterns and ornaments. They're dried, hollow, and then fired. The Haniwa were created according to the Wazumi technique, in which mounds of coiled clay were built up to shape the figure layer by layer. Kofun period 300 to 552 CE. Shinto means way of the gods, and the kami are the local deity or spirits. This is the Honden of the Ice Jingu, as rebuilt in 2013 in the Mie Prefecture, Japan, Kofun period or later. So in Shinto shrine architecture, the Honden, or the main hall, which is also called Shinden or sometimes Shoden, as in the ice shrine's case, is the most sacred building at the Shinto shrine, intended purely for the use of the enshrined kami, the deity or the spirit. It's usually symbolized by a mirror or sometimes by a statue. This architecture has a thatched roof, and it uses the mortise and tenon system, in which the builders slip the wall boards into slots in the pillar. This is an example of a rotunda. It's a circular area under a dome. This is a Korean from the United Silla Kingdom. It's a Shakyamuni Buddha in the rotunda of the cave temple at Seoguram, Korea, United Silla Kingdom, 751 to 774. Back to Japan, the Hakuho period. The Horyuji Temple near Nara in Japan was founded in 607 CE by Prince Shotoku and is the only surviving Buddhist monastery from the Asuka period in its original state. The complex consists of 48 listed buildings, including this 5-story pagoda. It's the oldest wooden buildings in Japan. So this whole image is the Horyuji Temple complex. It's in the Nara Prefecture in Japan from 680. Here we have the Golden Hall, the Horyuji Temple, Ikaruga, Japan. The Horyuji's Golden Hall, which is also the kondo. It's the main hall inside of a Japanese Buddhist temple where the images of the Buddha are housed. So the kondo is a main worship hall. It belongs to the original core, the western precinct of the Horyuji Temple. That includes the 5-story pagoda and the middle gate. And the Golden Hall is decorated with early and important Paradise fresco that was destroyed by fire in 1949. The present hall encloses an outstanding group of early statues. This hall's false upper story, later porch, and stone platform are all features that are shared by the temple's pagoda. Its exterior, the roofs, balconies, and stone platforms, derives from Chinese prototypes, but the absence of the second floor inside the building indicates that the design was recreated from Chinese illustrations of exteriors only. Dabutsuden looking north, Todaiji, Nara, Japan, Nara period, 743-752, rebuilt in 1707, restored in 1906 to 1913. It's wood with a ceramic tile roof. This is Todaiji, the Great Eastern Temple, refers to its location on the eastern edge of the city of Nara, Japan. It's noted for its colossal sculpture of a seated image of the Vairocana Buddha. The temple and Buddha have been raised several times during military unrest. There are 7 external bays on a facade. It's influenced by the monumental Chinese sculpture at the Longmen Caves in China, the largest wooden building in the world. Here we have the portrait statue of the Buddhist priest Sonjobu Shogen. It's in the Kamakura period, 1206. It's painted cypress wood, Todaiji Nara. This is the Kamakura period. In 1181, Shogun was appointed to raise funds for the reconstruction of Todaiji. Over the next 25 years, he oversaw the repairs to the Great Buddha, the hall in which it was housed, the South Gate, and numerous other buildings in the temple complex, as well as being involved in commissioning of several replacement images. He also continued civic works, repairing bridges, driving robbers from the mountains, and easing the distress of man and beast. This portrait statue was probably carved after his death at age 86. It's 2 feet 8 3/8 inches high. It has finely painted details showing his aging and his slumped posture, painted cypress wood. Here we have the night attack on the Sanjo Palace. It's from the events of the Heiji period, Kamakura period, 13th century. It's a hand scroll with ink and colors on paper. It's 1 foot and 4 1/4 inches high. The full scroll is 20 feet and 10 inches long, currently housed at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. It was painted 100 years after the Civil War that's depicted in the scene. It is at an elevated viewpoint. It has strong diagonals emphasizing movement and action with the swift, active brushstrokes. Narratives read here from right to left as the scroll is unrolled. Depersonalized figures. It has many with only one stroke for the eyes, ears, and mouth. There's a tangled mass of forms accentuated by Japanese armor. The lone archer leads the escape from the burning palace with a equestrian Japanese commander behind him. The military rule in Japan from 1185 on had an interest in the code of the warrior, which is reflected in the large quantity of war-related literature and paintings from the time. This unrolls like a film sequence. As one unrolls, time advances. Burning of the imperial palace at Sanjo in Kyoto, as rebel forces are trying to seize power by capturing the emperor. The coup was staged in 1159 as Emperor Go Shirakawa is taken prisoner. The imperial palace is in flames. Rebels are force the emperor to board a cart waiting to take him into captivity. The rebels kill those opposed and place their heads on sticks and parade them around as trophies. The end.